A wonderful weekend. Africa Speaks of today is a very special one because I've got somebody here who is really an African. I'll describe him as an African. I wouldn't really describe him of anything else because he's really done quite a lot for Africa. The program is based on this. What is new in Africa today is politics a major issue, but there is also things beyond politics in Africa. There are other things which are beyond politics in Africa. And these are things that I always want us to follow sometimes because it helps us quite a lot in whatever we're trying to do as Africans. Now, individuals, especially those living in the diaspora, are contributing more than $10 billion a year to Africa's economies each year. $10 billion. Mark that. The question is, what can one do to be part of this development? And more still, what type of investment can one get involved in Africa? Pay very good attention because there's quite a lot that this gentleman has learned over the years and has helped as projects go. We'll try and answer that. Now, with me in the studio is Mr. David Smith, the chairman of the British African Business Alliance. Welcome to the program.
Delighted to be here.
Right. You've been here before, you
Yes.
know the drill, you know you've been advocating for Africa in so many ways, and I have to thank you before we even move on for the biggest roles that you're playing. First and foremost, tell us about the British Business Alliance. What does it do, and what kind of project is this?
Okay, we're a business network. And we started because a Ugandan friend of mine came to me and he described some of the issues that in 2009 were top of mind.
Okay.
That there was fragmentation in the community, that there was no chamber of commerce.
In Uganda?
In the UK.
Yeah.
And so Africans in the UK were missing out on business opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, would you help us to create a chamber of commerce for Africans in the UK?
Yeah.
So that's where we started. What we do now is we focus on business professionals who are Africa facing.
Yeah.
They can be Africans, they can be British, they can be Japanese, they can be Korean, they can be from Ukraine. We don't mind.
Okay.
So long as they have Africa in their heart and they're looking to do something with Africa, then we welcome them.
Okay.
And our view is that it is for the people of Africa to say what needs to happen in Africa. Therefore, the fact that we bring technology from the UK, the fact that we bring funding from international investors is about empowering what needs to be done on the ground.
Okay.
But it's not easy. It's not easy because there's a lot of mistrust. There's
I know.
a lack of confidence.
Being an African, I know.
And so our battle is with how do we bring professionals together? And there was a prime example the other day. One of our members funded two projects, one in Seychelles and one in Kenya. In Kenya, what he's done, he's written a program for management of prisons. So when you go into a Kenyan prison, you're logged on the way in, you know when your sentence comes to an end, it's on the computer and you're let go at the end of it.
Okay.
And the whole management of the prison is around that system. In the Seychelles, they've done the investigation system. And so how do the police start to investigate a crime? How do they manage that process? How do they protect the evidence? And how do they take the evidence to court? We had a webinar last Wednesday to discuss this, and I introduced two gentlemen, one from Nigeria, one from Greenwich, and the guy who's leading the thing into Somaliland is from Birmingham.
Somaliland, I can imagine that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the Englishman and the Somalilander had been to Somaliland to meet the Ministry of Justice, and they're now looking at a court system to link what the police investigation does with what the prison service does. So in Somaliland there will be a complete system. The conversation with the Nigerian is saying, how do we use this in Nigeria? There was someone in the audience from Ghana. How do we do this in Ghana? Someone from Zimbabwe. How do we do it in Zimbabwe? So out of one webinar we have software being developed for 4 countries, for 4 judicial systems, to safeguard Africans from their own system.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We find ways to understand what you want to do and help you accelerate your project.
The problem is, how do you beat the political system? Because what is the biggest failure in Africa has always been the politicians.
Yes.
And if there's anything that is a threat to them, that thing won't go through. This is where all the disasters come from. You may come in with all the best, brilliant ideas. I've interviewed people here who want to build hospitals, who want to build certain things. And then they are told, no, you can't actually build a road. There was someone who wanted to build a road to his village. He had the money, he had a construction company and everything, but they told him, no, you can't do it. That's government what? Give the money to government, the government will build the road. And say, hang on a minute, why should I give the money when I can't do it? You see? And another one wanted to build an estate somewhere in Nigeria, and they
who puts the politicians in place? It's the African people. So I think you have to take control of your own politics.
Well, we have to take control of that, but then at the same time is that I think they use the fact that some people are very poor. Now, a man may come during the election and he starts giving money out, or starts doing this. He wins the election. He comes back after the next election, having done nothing. This is where the biggest problem is.
Yeah, I would totally agree that that's where the biggest problem is. But the powerhouse of the UK, the powerhouse of Germany, the powerhouse of the United States, of France, is the small and medium-sized business. It's people looking after their own business in their own community and looking after their family as a result of that. And that gives them security. So what we need to do when we think about business in Africa is look at how that can be put in place. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
We have a member in Stourbridge. They make a manually operated block-making machine. I've talked about this machine before. It sits at the centre of a major project that we have for youth. But a gentleman bought 2 machines, maybe £10,000–12,000 worth of equipment. He took them to Djibouti. Last year he turned over $300,000.
Whoa.
Okay. So what can that man do? He can go to his community, he can make blocks, he can sell blocks to people who want to build their own houses.
Yeah.
There's no room for a political finger there.
We've come to such a conclusion at certain places that it's easier for you, as David, to travel to Uganda and start an investment in Uganda, and you'll be more accepted as a foreigner than me going to Uganda to start a business there. But this issue has brought in Zimbabwe now, as we speak, when Robert Mugabe left office, all the white people who had left because of Zimbabwe were welcome back now, because they say, hey, when they come back, they knew how to run the business, they knew how to do this. Now, let's give them that. In South Africa, they were welcome as well. Now, it's like someone else who comes from outside has a better chance of succeeding than an African. Maybe we open that door out first.
That is definitely not true.
It's not true.
It's not true. Someone who knows Africa has a better chance of succeeding. Now, let me tell you, if I went to Uganda, I would lose more money in the first week than you guys would lose in a year, because someone would come and say, oh, Mr. Smith, you have to pay this, oh, you have to pay that, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I would find myself in the wrong part of town.
Well,
there is no doubt about it. And the same in Nigeria, the same in virtually every other country. No, if I went by myself, what I advocate when I talk to people about how do we build businesses in Africa, I talk about collaboration. I talk about bringing technology from the UK. We've got a $120 million project going in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe,
Okay. That came about because someone here asked me to invite a politician to come to the UK. And I'm saying, why am I inviting a politician? Zimbabwe is under sanctions at the moment. It's not my job. He says, no, please invite. David, you haven't invited yet. And this
Yeah.
went on for weeks, even months. And eventually the lady came at my invitation. We had a really successful week.
Okay, okay.
$120 million is going in place from a company in Reading,
All right.
led by a gentleman from Bradford.
Okay.
Without us, they would never have met.
Yeah.
Approved by the Minister for Bulawayo. Agreed with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Power in Zimbabwe.
There wasn't any cheeky money changing hands.
As far as I'm aware, I have.
Because that's
because
where
the Reading company won't do that.
it won't do that.
It won't do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that was dealt with because I'm not integrally involved in that particular deal. But I know that by bringing the political will to the table, by providing the technology solution,
Okay.
by bringing the management expertise, you can bring the finance and you can put 2 solar farms and a waste-to-energy plant
Now,
in position.
A Chinese banker told a friend of mine that the best way to go into Africa and open up business directly, what China is doing in Africa is giving Chinese people money to go and invest in Africa. This is the bankers from China.
Yeah.
The Chinese government gives them money,
Yeah.
goes and invests in Africa.
Yeah.
Then this money is then sent back to China.
Yeah.
Now, Western governments over the years, this issue could have also worked with the British. If you British and you want to go and invest
Yeah.
in Africa, it could easily have happened. But because it never happened with the British banks here, they have seen a road in. Can there be a way in which Western banks here as well could say, okay, let's send some of our people to go and invest in Africa in this way, because then we'll be making money as well? Can
It's
that
actually-
happen? Yeah?
Yes, it can happen.
Yeah.
And it's something that I have been discussing with contacts in government.
Yeah,
Let me tell you how I see it working.
yeah,
If you invest in a small and medium-sized business in the UK, a startup business, you may have come across a thing called EIS, Enterprise Investment Scheme,
okay.
and you get special tax reductions
Oh, from the government, yeah.
from the
yeah,
government.
Yeah, yeah.
And therefore, as you're making your investment, you're minimizing your risk, and the government sees that there is investment going into the small and medium-sized sector because they want that to work. That's the British government I'm thinking about.
How about
the UK
reducing
government.
insurance? Because the biggest problem that most
Hang
of
on,
them
wait,
face.
just-
Okay,
just-
okay,
just
okay.
wait, just
all right,
wait.
all right.
Okay. What I think they ought to introduce, and this is a way that the UK could actually boost its business in Africa quite rapidly, is a Diaspora investment scheme.
All right, all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the same tax reductions that you would get if you were investing in a UK company, you get for investing into an African company through the Diaspora investment scheme here. So that mobilizes some of the money that is locked up in the 9-to-5ers here,
Yeah.
who are focused on their careers, who are looking after their families, putting their children through school and stuff, and aren't ready to go and move back immediately.
To Africa, yeah.
So a Diaspora investment scheme sitting along EIS and SEIS, which are the 2 schemes that the UK government has at the moment. And that would allow you to say, this is my contribution to Africa, this is my contribution to my business in Africa, and this is the benefit that I get from the UK government for doing that.
Yeah.
And that would be a way of boosting that activity. But I think what we need to do, you've got to start where you are. And I describe people as being 2 feet here,
Yeah.
1 foot here,
Yeah.
1 foot there,
Yeah, yeah.
and 2 feet there. Okay? If you're going to be 2 feet there, then you close everything here.
Of course,
and
they'd
you
have to
go
be there,
over
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you're flying backwards and forwards. And then sometimes you're committed to all the things that tie families in place, schools,
Yeah.
universities, jobs,
Yeah.
all of those sorts of things. So you end up being 2 feet here. So by looking at these things and saying, what can I do? People talk about remittances,
Yeah.
the billions of dollars you mentioned earlier going
yeah,
in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say it's above 80%
Okay.
is going to emergency. there's a problem that needs solving, send me £100, send
Yeah.
me £50, send me £300. It's not going into investment, it's going into social services, social support.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we need to do is to put in place the small and medium-sized businesses that employ those people so they don't have the emergency.
Okay. I
In
agree.
Nigeria, for example, at the moment, I think there needs to be a growth of 700,000 new businesses. That will create just over 13 million jobs. That will safeguard 80 million people. The Nigerian government want to take 100 million people out of poverty over the next 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I hope it does happen.
Well, it's got to happen because
yeah.
by that time, Nigeria's population will be very nearly 300 million.
Yeah, almost 400 because they're almost 300
doubling.
now, 300 something now, yeah.
So these sorts of initiatives have got to be driven by individuals looking after their family, looking after their community, serving their community, being the baker in that community, being the accountant in that community.
The thing I wanted to talk about when I interrupted you was to do with the insurance. Now, the insurance structure is such that if you're going to invest abroad and there is possibility or whatever, that in case you lose your business, but the money is coming back here, in case you lose your business, you can easily recoup your money through the insurance scheme here in the UK. That used to work at the time. But at the moment, because the premiums are so high, what the Chinese did, why it's successful there, is that the banks themselves cut the insurance premium and they deal direct to the government. They know who they have lent the money to, and they know which business the person has done. So the government, if a person fails to repay the loan, they can easily, the government can easily chase the money through the structures in Africa, and the person repay the loan. You know, so. Can something similar to that, especially when it involves insurance, be an issue which the British government or a department like yours can?
I think it sounds unlikely.
It sounds unlikely.
Because what you're trying to do is protect a risk system that is too high.
Okay.
So if you look at it from the way I was saying, and we start creating small businesses that create stable communities, then you can start to do something in that community that is building that community. So for example, we have a member from Sussex. They have a shipping container that does power, it does water, and it does communications. You can drive it to any village that you can drive to.
Okay.
That village is then connected as we are here tonight. Now, if you start doing that into all the off-grid places in Africa, you're beginning to create the enabling environment where people can run businesses and do things. We've got another company down in Wiltshire. They have a mango pressing machine. How many mangoes go to waste in Uganda? Millions.
Millions, quite a lot.
1,000 kilos an hour. 1,000 kilos an hour turning mangoes into juice. That juice would be available in Sainsbury's. It would increase the exports of Uganda. And it changes the dynamic because a small business has gone and put the juice machine there.
Now, the weaknesses I'm looking at now, all these business structures are very good, and it will be increasing and so bad. It's easier to say than done. What are the main weaknesses? Why they're not happening? Because somewhere along the way, leave the political side aside. There could be something that's
fundamental, isn't it? You sit down in a bar and you talk with Africans about investing into Africa, and they won't do it this time because it's not the right president. Okay. We haven't got the right system. There isn't an enabling environment. I spoke to an economics teacher earlier this year. He's teaching economics in a UK university. And he's saying, well, the government hasn't put in place an enabling environment. Therefore, I can't do anything in my country. So I'm going to stay here in Newcastle. so there's the problem. No one is going to grasp the nettle. No one's going there to say, all these mangoes are falling on the ground and
Let
rotting.
me do something about it.
Let me do something about it. If I bring my container and I give all these people electricity and they pay me for 25 years, let me do something about it.
Yeah.
I think you've got to change the narrative into a way where you're saying, okay, there is an issue, there is a problem, there is a difficulty.
Yeah.
How do I solve that problem? And you know, when we started this, people would come to me and say, David, how do I make money in Africa?
Yeah.
And I said, walk down the street. Because when you walk down the street, you see what needs doing.
Yeah.
And you can start to find solutions.
I'm one of those people who are always very positive when it comes to businesses, when it comes to things being done. And I like a person who is very positive, regardless of what might come up. But then the fear factor and the comfort zone is one of those things maybe what we need to be teaching our people that said, look, the fear factor is always going to be here. It's not going to go away. It's always going to be here. But at the end of the day, because it's not going away, let's try and see what we can do in terms of uniting ourselves and said, okay, if there are 3 or 4 of us, then the fear factor is going to disappear, because it's not only one person is going to lose the money, but all of us.
Yeah.
You see?
But let's look at the Djibouti man's business. 4 of you put £3,000 each, 12,000, 2 machines, you take them off to Uganda.
Yeah.
You can make bricks and blocks and tiles and what have you, and you've got a business doing 300,000 if you do it properly. So your 3,000 turned into a quarter of 300,000. So what is that? 75,000 in 1 year.
Yeah.
Where can you do that? You go to the Nationwide and say, here's my £3,000, please can I have 70,000 back this year? 75,000 back.
Like I said, the fear factor is a major issue as an but if there is a united factor and you're more than 6-7 people, I think the key thing that the British Business Alliance, the British Africa Business Alliance can do is to say, okay, let's bring in 20 Ugandans. Let's bring in 20 Ghanaians together and say, we want you to be part of...
People are doing that themselves.
They're doing it, yeah.
They're doing it themselves. We have a member from Kenya. He was running an investment group. They used to meet on a Saturday morning in a hotel in southwest London, and they would discuss a portfolio of things.
Okay.
They'd worked out what they were doing, and they worked out how they were doing it.
Yeah.
And they were building... They were buying land at the end of the road that wasn't built yet.
Yeah.
They're
buying
land at the end of the road that wasn't built. So they're buying very, very cheap.
Okay. Okay.
And then the road is built and the land has gone up in value. If you put a house on it, it goes up in value again.
Yeah.
You turn it into a farm, it goes up in value again.
Yeah.
So all of these things are what people need to be thinking about. And this is not just for anybody. This is for people who are thoughtful about their country, thoughtful about their situation, committed to a job here.
Yeah.
All of them are in 9-to-5s here.
Yeah.
And then they're going there and they're being careful about how they invest and where they invest.
There's a lot we don't know. Now, there's something here, a quote that I got from you in one of your Facebook accounts, and it's very interesting. I would like our viewers to really admire it the way I've admired it, because the way it comes out, it's so interesting in the sense that it's something which can be very motivative to individuals, in a sense that somebody listens to that and he says, wow, this is very interesting. Although, of course, you didn't put on whoever had actually made it. But this is how it goes. Your conclusion that there isn't enough of something, whether it is enough land or money or clarity, stems from you learning without meaning to vibration that holds you apart from what you want.
Yeah. Now, you were telling me about all the difficulties that you saw about investing in Africa.
Yeah.
That sensation of negativity is holding you apart from actually making the decision to take £1,000 or £5,000 or £10,000 and put it into a television station in Uganda. Okay, maybe it needs to be 100,000, maybe it needs to be 1 million, but actually that negativity, even at a small level, is holding you apart. And the vibration is coming from what you're learning from people around you who are holding similar reservations.
Oh yeah,
And
the vibration. Yeah, yeah.
That is what it is. So it's about energy, and it's about how you use that energy in your own life to do what you want to do. For me, it was an eye-opener.
Okay.
And that's why I shared it.
Yeah.
And for people who are interested, they can go and find conversations about the universe all over Facebook, all over the internet, and the power that the universe has in terms of manifesting things. I'm grateful for the message that I got from the learning that I did, because it gives me a particular point of view. And yes, I recognize there are difficulties.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that 78% of prisoners in Nigerian jails are waiting to go to court. Many of them already have served a greater sentence than they're going to
sentence.
get, because that system is not working properly. But I'm grateful for the opportunity for our members to go and provide solutions that will improve that and release the people who need to be released, and keep a track of the people who need to be kept track of, because some of them are pretty nasty.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The thing is it's worked for you, and someone else would say, okay, I'm very positive, but despite the fact that I'm positive, there's still got to be that voice behind you that's saying it's not going to happen. Someone has got to make sure, you've got to make sure you get rid of that voice, because it's always there. It never goes away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it never goes away. Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But you manage yourself, you manage your situation, you recognize where you're coming close to an edge.
Yeah.
You step back from stepping off the cliff. You bring yourself into a situation where you control what you do, and you do it within the law, within the reality of your life. I think it's about learning, it's about understanding, and it's about recognizing.
Okay.
But if your inputs are negative,
Yeah.
if a child on his mother's knee is only told negative things,
Yeah,
the child ends up with a very negative attitude.
Yeah, all the
The
way.
mother that empowers that child allows that child to soar, to go to whatever height, because of the confidence that is instilled. And I think that what we've got to do is adjust for our own existence.
Yeah.
You know.
Another one, there were two quotes. Another one was this is directly, this is by Abraham Hicks, which says, if you identify a desire for it, source recognition, your desire, and immediately begins to deliver it to you, your desire will immediately begin to deliver it to you. And it will manifest in the variety, in the fullness, and in the way that you and only you learn to allow it. Abraham Hicks said this. It's like you get motivated.
Yeah.
And when you get motivated by the bits and pieces of whatever achievements you have, or even if you haven't got any achievements, but because at the back of your mind, there is that desire that this is what you want to do. I'm becoming philosophical here now.
You are. I wasn't expecting this conversation this evening.
No, because ideally, from the business set of points, and because if the power doesn't come from you, then the chances that whatever you're trying to do, it won't work. And I've seen this so many times.
Exactly.
Whatever you're trying to do, and it's incidentally, President Museveni, the president of Uganda, he mentions it in his book when he was fighting that war, the Bush War, with the then governments, Obote governments, and those governments. In order to succeed, he was motivating his fighters. Said, look, get these spiritual kind of things that no matter what, no matter how many people they have killed, we're going to win this war. He never at any time said we're going to lose this war or something like that. Even when at the back of his mind he knew he was losing men, everything was not going his way, and they nearly got him. They nearly practically almost whipped him out, but he resurrected back through a number of initiatives of brave men. Because I read his book and I could see that.
I haven't read that book, so I don't know that particular story.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about is having a plan.
Yeah.
Having the desire to make it happen.
Okay.
and then putting in place what resources you have to enable that,
Yeah.
and being grateful for what you actually achieve on the way.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? So you recognize the losses,
If-
obviously.
oh yeah, yeah. You recognize the losses. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And you recognize the sacrifice.
yeah, yeah.
But fundamentally, you have a belief that you are going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. And the process is one of communication, it's one of giving,
Yeah.
of knowledge, of understanding to people who don't have that. And therefore, you know, the man in Djibouti again,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's doing his 300,000. There's
Yeah.
a man in Ethiopia who's pushing his
Yeah.
his pram around the park. He had the baby in the pram. And he met an Englishman also pushing the stroller with the baby in it.
Okay, okay.
And the two of them fall into conversation. One is from Birmingham, the other one is from Ethiopia.
Yeah, yeah.
They talk about their businesses and what they're doing. The man from Ethiopia takes some of the solar products from the man in Wolverhampton and goes off to Ethiopia and does market research.
Yeah, yeah.
That has turned into a business that's turning over $3.5 million a year.
Wow, you're talking in terms of money. I'm
Yes.
good to get.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, you're sort
it's
of,
actually understanding
Yeah.
what drives business. It's money that drives business. It's not politics that drives business. Politics gets in the way of business.
Yeah, it does, it
more
does,
often
it
than
does,
not.
yeah.
Sometimes it needs to control business to stop it doing
Yeah, yeah,
things that
yeah,
are not right.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's that drive of the individual, and you go and you discover that people who are living in the dark want solar products so that they can read their book, their newspaper, do their lessons. So they buy lots of lanterns, they buy lots of things.
Yeah.
And the suitcase full of stuff that you took for market research turns into a little business.
Okay, okay.
3 containers a month of solar products going into.
Oh, wow, wow. Talking about solar products and all that, what about the Rainbow Global Intervention interchange supply
Yeah.
technology?
Okay.
This is one area that I've got a number of my friends are so keen on learning how it can happen, because if technology goes to the lower ground of Africa,
Absolutely, it
the chances of other areas in Africa coming up will really be great, but it's how you bring it to the to the people on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Rainbow started as a remittance platform.
Okay. Okay.
And it was my reintroduction to Africa in 2007, 2008.
All right.
The technology team that I was working with at the time had identified that there was a major problem with the unbanked, that Africans were paying a lot more for remittances than some other countries.
Yeah.
And the technology being employed to deliver that was not very high.
Yeah.
So we were involved in developing this platform, and Rainbow Interchange came out of that. So the interchange is about enabling people to connect from different places with different currencies and end up with the currency that they want in the volume that they want.
Okay.
So say you're buying something from Uganda, you're paying in pounds, you want to deliver in shillings, Rainbow helps you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we're doing is working with a number of licensed organizations in different parts of the continent to put in place systems that will enable that to happen. So from your phone in the UK, you can transfer money from your bank account into the Rainbow platform, and from the Rainbow platform into your bank account in Kampala in a very cost-effective way.
Okay.
We're not yet at the launch stage of it,
Yeah.
but we're in discussions with various parties to enable that to happen.
Okay.
That's what it does. But beyond that, when you go to the village, and everybody says everyone in Africa has a mobile phone, it's not quite true yet.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people have mobile phones, but when you get down to the last mile, there are people who don't yet have mobile phones.
Yeah.
So there is a card element to it, so that you could have a payment card. You can receive your money into the payment card. You can use the payment card to
And then
pay
you go
for-
to it. Okay.
for your goods in the shops.
Yeah.
And that is the cheapest way of doing. Wherever a person gets involved, you go to a money transfer office and a person gives you your money,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're always paying for that person somewhere.
Of course, fee services.
So
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
going to the ATM costs less than a person.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can
You
get
cut
a
out
cheaper.
you
can get a
cut out
cheaper-
the ATM. Yeah. Yeah. You cut
get
out
a
the
cheaper-
ATM.
You get a cheaper
Yeah.
remittance. But actually, when you look at a place like Uganda, the level of people without bank accounts is still quite high.
Yeah.
I don't know what the figure is at the moment, but I would suggest probably around 60%.
Yeah, yeah. It's possible.
So those people, their money is outside the economy. So that money is not going into reducing the cost of interest rates because the country can't count that money, it's cash.
Yeah, yeah.
The country doesn't know whether it's held in dollars, in Kenya shillings, or in whatever.
Yeah.
And therefore it's just out there. If, you know, the way in which M-Pesa worked in Kenya was it brought everything into the system.
Okay.
It wasn't designed to, but it did. And once everything was in the system, then the interest rates can start to come down. So the difficulties of setting up a business in Kenya are that little bit easier
than other parts. Again, it comes down to the politicians anyway, because if they get involved in
it comes down to someone who's going to say, I'm going to make the system available.
Okay.
And then the demand from people drives what the politicians can do.
Yeah.
The politicians
they won't have any choices because of what is existing.
Exactly. What the politicians in Africa are wanting at the moment is more of the money that's held in the diaspora to come back into the country.
Yeah, yeah.
But they have to create the enabling environment to do that. And they're struggling with that because they don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. They don't know what it is. Yeah, they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we need investment bonds. We need diaspora bonds. We need investments that work to a level of security that we would expect here in the UK, because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you buy a Ugandan government bond, it's a very good investment because you get a very good return.
Because there isn't really much insurance as far as that is concerned in Africa.
You've got to look at why you're investing where you're investing. People only invest in what they know.
Yeah.
They only invest where they have confidence that they're going to get a return and that they understand the technology being used.
Yeah.
As soon as you go outside those parameters, you're into no man's land. And it becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah.
If you talk to any serious investors, if you watch Dragon's Den, you see they invest in the areas that they like.
I've been watching it, and I realized they have to think seriously hard if they're going to put their money down.
Absolutely.
You know, if something has to be able to bring the money back.
So when you go to the village and you see the mangoes and the pineapples going to waste, and you think, what can we do with this?
Yeah.
And those little sweet bananas that come from Uganda.
Yeah.
I used to call them box bananas because the kids could take them to school. It's a small one.
Yeah, they're there.
It's not a huge banana.
Yeah, they are.
And there's a business there to be brought.
Yeah.
But actually stopping that waste, that's what Africa's got to concentrate on.
Okay, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be. No. Now, let's come to one of the subjects that is always on my mind, and it's something that we've covered quite a lot. The issue of gender is a very important one, because when you're doing business in Africa, the question of who is more honest, are they women? Is it the women or is it the men? Or the question of who is more enterprising? Because now women have started small projects. I know this in Uganda and I know it in Kenya. Now, the women's projects, and they are being given quite some money to invest in the various small projects that they are doing. In your line of work, you've come across this. Who do you think is more of an advantage in terms of what they're doing in business? Is it the women or the men? Yeah.
The one who's done the studying
and
has the understanding of the opportunity.
Yeah.
It is not a sex thing.
It isn't.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, many people have said to me that the African attitude is more matriarchal than patriarchal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So those mothers play an important role.
Yeah.
Now, if someone was to give you a 300% increase in revenue, would you feel better if it was a woman who gave it to you than a man? Well, I ask you this because there's a woman I know in southwest London who went to her village in Uganda and she put in place a program that enabled the ladies in that village to increase their revenue by up to 300%. She gave them chickens and the chickens laid eggs which they took to the market.
Yeah.
They were starting for a very low base, but I think all of us would say that was a good initiative. It's one of the best initiatives that I've learned of. But it wasn't done by a man, it was done by a woman. But I can't say that the initiatives that the men are doing, I mean, I have a friend from Rwanda, and he is putting in place fire services.
Yeah.
He's not a woman. Is the fire service not necessary? They needed it in Somaliland the other night when the market went up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think you can divide it like that.
Well, the gender issue has always been a major issue in terms of development in Africa. It has affected what we do. We have the ethnicities, the cultures, and so on. And somewhere along the way, even this year, I think the Kenyan elections are taking place. But one of the major issues being discussed is the constitution, whether there should be a constitution change in terms of what we regard as what the Kenyans would regard as where do we place the culture, religion, and so issues that bond people together. These things are being discussed. Should we continue where religion says you should marry one wife, and the cultural thing says you can have at least 3 or something like that, and then where women's are supposed to be, and so on. They are discussing that, and the reason why I bring it up in the business sector is that somewhere along the way it has that impact that like Africa is a male-dominated society, and women get permission to do this, to do that from their husbands, and so on. That is why I'm saying, look, when it comes to doing business, is there something between the two that
I've not come across a situation where someone has been deliberately held back in my own personal experience.
Okay.
But I have come across people who are actively running projects that empower women. And I would say that is to be applauded. And I think that we go back to the child on the mother's knee. If that child is given the positivity and the encouragement, that child can, whether it's a boy child or a girl child, that child can fly. And I think that's what we should aim for. I don't think we should be divisive at all. If a man wants to take 3 wives, I think, he's a braver man than I.
When I look at development in Africa, and that's why when I looked at the personal issues, the things that you brought up, the mental structure, one has got to have the mental ability to do something and be determined to do it, whether there's a voice behind that's telling you can't do it or not. I also look at external factors which have affected our fathers, our aunties, and so on and so on. Those external factors, because when it comes here, it's easier now for us to sit here and say, okay, we can either do the mango business as you are telling me, but then
building business or what have you, or solar business.
Solar business. But then at the end of the day, if you're doing research and you find that actually they can do it, but the external factor of somebody saying, oh, that's my land, those mangoes are mine, I don't want them to
then you
be
buy
taken.
the mangoes. Okay? This process is very, very particular. No one's going to give you the money to buy the mango machine unless you've done the research and you have the agreement from the landowner that you're going to take his rotten mangoes before they go rotten and turn them into profit for him. He's nursed the trees, he's looked after the trees. The fruit is there. If it falls to the floor, it has no value. An avocado on the floor is 0. In Waitrose, it's £2. Which one do you want? So I think you need to look at these things and then you research. And it's serious, it's business. You cannot just play it by ear. You have to say, okay, this is going to work, this doesn't work. We tried that and it didn't work. But as a result, we learnt this, and it did work. So if you go to Holland and Barrett in the high street and you buy avocado oil,
Yeah.
you're paying £22 a litre. Okay?
Yeah.
What is the cost of the oil coming out of the machine in Uganda when you're making the oil in Uganda? £1? £2? £5? It doesn't really matter what it is. You do the research, you work it out, and you come to Holland and Barrett and you say, I can bring you this very fine avocado oil,
for
and
this
it's going to
amount,
cost
yeah.
you this much. And they say, yes, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
It's a complex negotiation. It has all sorts of chemical issues that need to be properly resolved. It needs to be pure. It needs to be this. It needs to be that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But there is someone who does. The simple answer is that too many avocados go to waste.
Yeah.
Not enough get turned
We
into
need to do
oil.
something about it. Now, do you, in your line of work, go to British companies as well and talk to them and I said, look, did you know that there are mangoes in Uganda that are like this? Can you invest in it? Or did you know that there is rice in Nigeria which has this or that? In order to alert them to do some kind of investment in these particular
It doesn't quite work like that. Because if they know and they understand, there are already companies doing those investments and making those things happen.
Yeah.
Okay? What needs to be done is the connection between the company making the mango machine and the Ugandan who can go and do the business
and
there.
do the business over there, yeah.
Because it's very expensive for a company to leave the UK or to send someone from the UK, set them up in an office in Kampala,
Yeah.
get them to do the research, get them to go out and find a place, put them in a house, put them with a car, put them with all of these things.
Yeah.
This is not easy. What is easy is for someone from Uganda to go back to Uganda and say,
Yep.
I know this area, these are where the people are growing these fruits, this is what needs to be processed. It's not being processed at the moment. Harvest goes to market, what isn't sold at the end of the day goes to rot. Okay, so
I was looking more in terms of partnership, because if the partnership,
essential.
yeah,
Absolutely
it's
essential.
extremely essential, because without partnership, and this is where I can see that the Chinese are coming in and trying to, and with them they physically even appear. They're there on the ground in Africa. We even getting worried. They said, look, their numbers are becoming. As I said, no, as soon as we come in, their case may be different, but I would still think that somewhere along the way, British companies having had
okay. It's difficult to generalize.
all right.
The building company I was talking to you about want distributors all over Africa. Okay, they had an open day on Saturday. They are looking for people to come and buy their product. They're talking to people here. They're not in a position to fly to Uganda and set up a distributor there and then fly on to Rwanda and then fly on to Kenya and Tanzania and what have you.
Yeah.
It's beyond their resource.
All
What
right,
they
yeah.
can do is they can talk to Africans here and talk about the partnerships that they could create. We're talking to companies all the time about trying to set up what we call market opportunities.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a cost to the company, there's a risk to the company, there's a cost to the individual who takes on that agency, but actually you do the conversation in the boardroom of the company. You're not flying all the way down to wherever to go and do that. You get that conversation started, like the man from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
That was done in a park in London.
Yeah.
That wasn't an international trip. And when he went home, he did his market research.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he said, I'll buy some of these. And then he went back and sold them. And then he came back and bought some more. And it's got to work like that. But UK companies, given Brexit, given COVID, given the Ukraine war, need to sell more. They need to sell into Africa. And the people who are best placed are those 1 foot here, 1 foot there, who can act as an intermediary, who can introduce them to the right person at the other end. You turn up at an airport in Africa and you say, I'm looking to find someone to be my distributor. You're a needle in a haystack. It's really, really difficult. You've got to do sufficient research to know that you're talking to the right people. You've got to understand that business in that country. You need someone who knows that business in that country. To be able
Now,
to
I remember, I think the last time when you were here with Andrew,
yeah.
there was something connected with the, I think the Department of Trade and Industry,
Yeah.
In sense that there was money which was always released by the British government to anybody who is trying to invest something that is going to come in and bring in profit from either the African continent or wherever you're trying to invest.
Yeah.
The British government can actually invest in you as an individual. You're going to do business in Africa, there's something that you want to do, but you don't have enough funds, and so on and so forth. Does that still exist with the Department of Trade and Industry?
The Department of Trade and Industry have a number of funding opportunities that they're looking at
Yeah.
and that they're providing. If you go to the uk.gov website and put in Department of International Trade and you put in investment, then you will get a list of the schemes
that
are available.
Yeah.
I'm not aware, other than in facilitating trade missions and things like that, of being able to go and individually get a chunk of money to go and do something. That's what we're working towards with the idea of the Diaspora investment scheme.
Yeah.
Okay? It's recognising the tax paid here, it's recognising the work done here, and it's enabling the development of businesses that might use UK equipment to go there. But I think there's, by our calculation, something over £25 billion of diaspora-owned money in the UK in savings and investment accounts here. What we ought to be talking about is, in addition to the 10 billion going into remittances, how do we find the right investment vehicles to mobilise that money for development in Africa? And that requires someone to sit down and say, okay, if I buy this building machine, I can do this. If I invest in this scheme to build houses, I can get that return. And that's where the research needs to be done. That's where time needs to be spent. Those are the things that become practical. And the idea that you can solve a problem in your particular community that creates wealth for your family is where you have to start. Where you are now, with the resource that you have now, that makes a positive impact at the other end. That's not to say that you can't find someone who will put money alongside you to enhance what you need to do. I mean, I was looking today at a programme to build a soccer academy in Nigeria.
I was going to talk about sports, in fact, in the next thing, because the question of sports being neglected so much and not putting enough investment into it. Yet there are so many footballers, there are so many, sports hardware here that could easily invest in people in Africa, in terms of sportsmen in Africa. But nobody seems to be going that down road because it's more expensive and it's more difficult, because you've got to wait a couple of more years for a footballer to, if he's to, you have to invest anything into that person to come up. It's just.
I think it's a question of how you build the business model. One of the biggest issues that we think Africans face today is what to do with our young people. I saw a statistic that says 1 in 3 are thinking of migrating. If the continent is growing from 1.2 to 2.4 billion and 1 in 3 is thinking of leaving, that means, what's that, 800 million people
will leave outside.
Will leave Africa for the rest of the world. And that is a serious migration issue from all sorts of points of view. But actually, when you look at the opportunity of the young person, they have access to a phone, they see what's going on Facebook, they see how you live, they see what you do. That has shortened the distance between UK and Africa, America and Africa, Europe and Africa. Therefore, what we need to do is empower those young people to be able to earn their own living.
Yeah.
to be able to be entrepreneurs in their own right, to be plumbers and carpenters and electricians, to solve the problems of the housing stock, to build houses, to put the people in. Now, these are practical things. As soon as you talk about a piece of land with a house on it, you have the ability, if you have the right ownership arrangements, to get a mortgage. And therefore, you can add value to your life while you're sleeping, because you are buying your house while you sleep.
Yeah.
You're paying your mortgage every month. So we're looking at vocational training. We're looking at sport within vocational training.
Okay.
So if you can imagine a piece of land, a football field, classrooms around the football field, fields around the classrooms, and you've got a vocational college where you can go and learn to be a builder, you can be a plumber, you can be a chef, you can be a nurse, you can be a seamstress, a hairdresser, a mechanic, a farmer. And by actually linking that into real estate, 1,000 houses costing maybe $10,000-$20,000 each to build, selling for maybe $20,000 to $30,000 each, you're creating wealth out of houses, out of land that has ostensibly very little value at the moment. But as soon as you put a civil servant on that land in their house, they are suddenly lords.
When you mention it, it looks so easy.
It looks easy.
Yeah, it looks so easy, and your presentation is so good. The only problem is the reality, and as we said earlier on, I don't really want to be negative in a way. I'm very, very positive. I want to, but the starting point now. Somebody viewing us here may say, "Well, it's so good. David is saying something so good, but where do I start from? What do I do? I have my £200 with me in my pocket. Is that enough? I need to wait until I get maybe £1,000 before I start thinking of something."
If you start with £200. I'd be looking at Ugandan government bonds, Nigerian government bonds, and seeing how that £200 grows over 3 years. So you then have £1,000. Or you then have 1,500, or you then have 800, whatever the growth is.
Okay.
But they're paying good interest rates, and it's guaranteed. So it's a starting point. Someone might say, "I'm thinking of buying this machine, and we'll make bricks with it. If you put your £200 along with my £200, and we can do this next stage with this other guy as well.
We do it together,
We then have a machine that is working for us. We're employing young people in that place to do the work, and we're selling the blocks every day, except Sunday, maybe. It depends how you religiously divide your workforce, because some people won't work on Friday and some others won't work on Sunday. But you could actually have that machine operating 7 days a week. It won't break. And you're selling those blocks at whatever rate the market will sustain. You do your research, you see that, and there is something that is practical that can be done in a community where you know the risks that you're taking.
Okay. Now, one important thing is that do you, at the British African Business Alliance, run classes, for example, or run classes in the sense that you give people the opportunity to learn something about the issues that you've mentioned here, because somewhere along the way I can see
we don't run classes. We've looked at trying to do that, and there are lots of people who are doing entrepreneurship and capacity building courses within the community, and we would recognize them and work with them.
Okay.
What we do is we talk with our members about the technologies that they bring. So if I could inspire you with a solar pack, and you were to take one of those containers to your village and give your village power and water and communications, think of the children you would empower. Think of the adults who could use that for adult education. Think of the businesses that could run from that village that can't run because there is no power at the moment. So you're using your position here to recognize that you can solve a problem. The mechanics of how much it costs and when and how, Depends on so many things. But I would say that you actually look at your strengths, and then you work from your strengths.
Yeah, I get your point. We're coming towards the end of the program, and the kind of things that you would want a beginner, for example, because there are people out there who are viewing this program and are thinking, like I said about the £200 as an example I gave, and there are so many examples they can look at, what they can do. But the key thing is, how are they going to, there's the power of persuasion of something that they're going to do, especially from those that are left behind in Africa. Because now most of the things, and we don't do them on individual levels. We go with maybe the family, we go with you look at the various ways in which we can, because as you said earlier, one leg is here, another leg is there, but you want to make sure that somewhere along the way you are helping them, much as they're helping you to develop.
When it comes to training and capacity building, there are many training courses that are available here. They're run by people in the community to understand the difficulties. So research there. Talk with the local universities and adult education and others who are doing those things. Look in the community newspapers and the community
Don't
websites.
just go and land there.
Do your research. Everything has to be research based. You have to build foundations on which you can work. And that's the way to start. What we're concentrating is on business professionals, people who are recognizing there is technology here, there is funding here, that they can mobilize on their own behalf. So the gentleman in Bradford who worked with the company from Reading, that we introduced the two of them and ended up with a project that's worth 120 million. This is where we're focusing. And actually, those sorts of initiatives make a big change in those places, because the introduction of 120 million is a lot of jobs, it's a lot of new technology, it's a lot of new electricity. There are all sorts of benefits that flow from it. So that's where we're, not exclusively, but that's where we're focusing.
David, I just want to thank you very, very much for coming to the show,
delighted.
and of course telling us all about it. And I do hope that our viewers have enjoyed it, and our viewers have seen, they have enjoyed it. They know where to start from next time, maybe if they want to go and invest in Africa. It will be, thank you very, very much for coming.
You're very welcome. Thank
And
you,
I do
Steve.
hope to come back next time
I
and tell
will
us.
be very happy to come back.
Come back next time and tell us all about it. I just want to say thank you very much for viewing us, and I hope we'll be together again next week for another edition of Africa Speaks. Thank you, and may God bless you.